Hey, happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to Rhythm Flow Radio live stream right here on Meta Facebook Live, YouTube, and Spreaker. And the name of the show is Opinion. And you know what they say about opinions? Opinions are like, and everybody's got one. My name is Katie Lowe, and we're going to talk. We've got a great conversation today. We're going to talk about an incident that happened in Colorado. I hope I can say that right. I can murder some words. And it was where a young lady got stopped by the police, and the police cruiser was on the train track, and they handcuffed her and put her in the car, and just out of the blue, you wouldn't believe it, a train showed up. So we're going to discuss that. If you got an opinion and you want to join in the show, call us at 708-717-2533, and you can share your opinion. But at this time, let me bring in Brother Raymond. How you doing?
Good evening. Good evening. I'm all right. I'm all right.
Okay, introduce yourself, my friend.
Hello, I'm Brother Raymond, CEO and founder of Brothers Stand Together, a non-profit organization and construction activist, author, and so many other things. But before we do anything, Kalo, we got to open this up in prayer. So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Heavenly Father, we come thanking you for allowing us to live to see another day, waking up in our right frame of mind. Lord, we ask you to continue to guide us from all hurt, harm, and danger. Protect our children, protect our city, protect our children, protect our cities. Protect our children, protect our cities. I say that over and over again because many of us don't understand that a lot of stuff is happening in the spirit realm is real. We pray all these things in your mighty magnificent Son, Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Yeah, Kato, though I did that because our children are steadily dying at an alarming rate. Um,
Mhm.
Many people are not taking it very seriously. Either they're harming themselves or they're getting killed. So either way it go, we are losing our youth at an alarming rate.
Yes, we are. We've been. I see Professor Donald Kincaide has joined us. Let him come in and introduce himself.
My name's Don Kincaide. Back from a rather short hiatus, and glad to be home. How about that?
All right. So, how was your weekend?
It was rather uneventful and actually full of mystery. How about you putting it that way? Um, some things that are just going on that are unceasingly amazing to me that people are trying to find a way to justify something that doesn't make any sense in the first place.
Right.
All right. So today, since you just joined us, we are talking. We're going to talk about. I should say our hot topic today is we're going to talk about the young lady. She was 20 years old. I think her last name was Rodriguez, that got hit by a train while she was handcuffed in a police car. But before
Uh,
we get to that topic, Brother Raymond, finish your conversation, what you were talking about.
So I want to just bring to the light how our young people, if they're not killing each other themselves, they are being killed. And recently, this weekend, a young man who I've known his family for years was killed by the police. So the report says Superintendent David Brown couldn't say how many shots were fired or whether the man pointed a weapon at the police officers. So they said Chicago police officers shot and killed a man early Sunday morning in Chicago's North Side Old Town neighborhood. CPO Davis said officers patrolling the area of the 400 block of West Blackhawk Street just after 5 a.m. were flagged down by a female neighbor who said someone had pointed a gun at her, right? The officers then found the suspect who ran from the police, starting a foot chase. Police got back into the squad car and found the suspect, described as a man about 20 years old, a second time. During an attempt to take him into custody, an officer fired his weapon, fatally shooting the suspect. So, right there, it's like, again, the training has went out the window. They shoot first and then do the treatment later, which we already know the treatment ain't gonna work because 9 times out of 10, the young man or the young lady is dead because of negligence of the police. So it just baffled me because it says the officer, they found him again, and then the police got back. Now the police attempted to take him into custody, and the officer fired his weapon. So I'm confused. It don't take a rocket science to figure this out. How you try to take somebody into custody and shoot them at the same time?
Well,
I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
No question. That's okay. I want you to play devil's advocate. But first of all, you do all that. I need you to explain to me how can you take somebody into custody, attempt to take somebody into custody, and shoot them at the same time?
Well, let me answer that.
And then you can go into your devil advocacy. Go ahead, okay. Professor.
Well, it's called culpable negligence. And back in 1978, we did a study in terms of how the Ku Klux Klan had planned on getting back into positions where they could continue to do what they were set up to do in the first place. Because they got sued back then because of some negligent behavior on the part of police officers and whatever that resulted in the death of some black young people. The mother sued the Klan. She didn't go after trying to get the people.
Hey, what's up, Barbara? Hey,
and so she sued the Klan and won. And so they vowed to come back. And they've been putting people in place in law enforcement offices and trying to arm them so that because law enforcement in this country is the only thing that's got the actual constitutional right to shoot people. The Army can't do it, and the Air Force they can't. The National Guard can't fire on civilians, but. Right. But people in the police departments and sheriff departments and highway patrol departments can do that. So it's culpable negligence. That's what they do. They on purpose. They put the wrong people in charge of the weapons, who have the power that when they pull up on us, we need to start making preparation to not move or give them any reason to shoot us, because that's what they get out of the car prepared to do. Culpable negligence. That's the answer to your question.
Okay, let me say this. If the police stop you and he's questioning you or talking to you, why break and run? If you know that you're not guilty of anything, why run? You see, to me, when you are being questioned and they're talking to you and you break and run, to me, you're just showing an admission of guilt.
No.
Why not answer the question? And if they want to arrest you, let them arrest you. You know that you're not guilty. But why break and run? Yeah. And I'm just putting in my head, this young man was 20 years old. Am I correct?
Yes, he was.
And the police stopped him up in Old Town area. And he broke and he ran. And they chased, they are on a foot chase. And you know they're pissed off because they got to run.
Well,
You already know that's just gonna anger them.
but the new generation of people are not like my generation. We knew not to make any false moves or move funny because we knew when these people were coming up on us that there wasn't very much we could do except, lean against the wall or get on the ground or do whatever. But
Mhm.
this generation ain't accepting doing that no more. And they're willing to run away or do whatever they can do to avoid even going along with what people are trying to make them do. So it's like fear and reluctance to and resistance to authority. Let's say it like that.
Okay.
And so it may not make sense to us because of our generation, but the young people are not buying it anymore. They would rather run down the street and get shot than to go along with what people want to make them do. Some of them, and then of course some of them are just defiant from coming from home training or lack of home training in some cases when it comes down to parenting or whatever. But you just have a generation now that's not going to buy it. That young man at 20 was standing there when they probably told him, "Get down on your knees," and he said, "I'm not getting on nothing."
Mhm.
But turn around and lean up against the car. No, I'm not going to do that. And so his only alternative at some point was to turn around and run away. And,
Right,
and go
right.
up.
And I feel you, Professor. But what I'm saying is, we have a generation now who has been maliciously
Mm-hmm.
slaughtered by the police, right?
Yeah,
So nobody trusts
it's a,
the police anymore, whether they're right or they're wrong.
that's
They
correct.
do not trust the police. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever I was out there doing, I'm definitely not trusting the police. Now, it says that a weapon was found with ammunition. So I
Oh,
don't know.
we know that. You know how
Right.
they do
But
that.
that's what I'm
Raymond.
saying. So here again, because of their vindictiveness, we cannot trust what the police say anymore. And that's sad because they were sworn to uphold the law.
No,
Not
but
only
see,
here, but as
that's
we
not.
finna get to the hot topic in
Yeah,
Colorado. How in the hell do you leave a civilian in the car?
handcuff.
You know a train is coming to save your own tail. See that this all this is just it's a mess, man. It's a mess. So the investigation is still going on, and I'll keep Katie Lowe updated, and she can keep you updated, Professor, on what's going on the north side.
Yeah, but they did say that there were some gray areas,
Right,
and those gray areas do have to be investigated. So
exactly. So
Yeah,
we
I
give
but see,
think
condolences out to the Baldwin family on the loss
yeah,
of a loss of her son. Our hearts goes out to them, and they tell them bereavement. But we will be keeping
absolutely.
further into
Yeah,
this, and it's not over. It's just the beginning because at the end of the day, it's sad. Nobody wins. And our
yeah.
children are down at alarming rate. You
I
know,
think what we have to do is wind up delving into being more inquisitive as a community and cooperating as a community to because there are people who use like the pistol you were talking about. There's no guarantee that young man had a weapon. They could have put the weapon on him at any point and assumed that and made it look like he had a weapon, and that's why they shot him.
right? And
That
and
has happened.
and it's the sad thing about our youth is that they got this thing in their head they have to prove something and they have to be this thing. It's stigma. Now I'm not with no violence. I don't condone no violence, no way, no how, no shape, form, or fashion. And I'm just saying, like, we dropped the ball. Okay, that's one thing. That's one thing for sure. And I don't know who don't and whoever hearing me, I know I dropped the ball with trying to help our youth, and I apologize to that, and I'm gonna do better at approaching them and trying to help them become productive members of society. But we also have to look at the parenting skills as well, because a lot of the parents know what's going on with their children as well and what they are capable of doing out there in those streets. So I'm not just putting it all on the police, but I'm saying the police plays a major part because they shoot first, then they ask questions later. And
that's what I was addressing.
Right, because they train. So every shot is a fatal shot. They can shoot, they know the vital shots, the vital parts to shoot you at, and all they have to do is shoot them in the leg and take them down. You went down and shot the leg. They'll never listen. And we're gonna get into this because I know we got the hot topic. But what have you noticed the police ever tried to actually subdue someone, meaning not kill them, but just wound them? I haven't seen it. In every case of police shooting, they've been shooting to kill, as they'll tell you they've been trained to do.
Raymond, I beg to differ. All the time, the police do not shoot to kill. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm racist. But there are instances where the police don't shoot to kill.
Where?
It all has to do with the color of your skin.
Okay, I can go with that. Now that I can go with, because they don't took their white counterparts to the drive.
No, I'm just saying that there are instances where they do not shoot to kill. I mean, there have been killings where young white men.
Well, we talking about this here.
No, I'm just.
No, I'm just talking about this here. When it comes to this here,
I know, that's why I say it.
They're 100% accurate. Okay. But when it's the other color, they don't do nothing to them. They don't even hit them upside the head or nothing. I ain't seen a scratch on them.
Well, the young man that shot those three guys and killed them with the AR-15.
Yeah.
He had been black. He hadn't been black, he would have got shot.
He would have been dead. I agree.
Okay. If he hadn't been black, he would have got shot. There's no question about that. So now, what I've been trying to do, and with all due respect, and I love you guys, man, because y'all really on point when it comes down to pointing it out and not bouncing around trying to apologize and
no, we ain't gonna do that.
We ain't stepping nobody's toes or whatever, because that ain't what this is about. This is about, the reason I come back to this show, because I want us to be, even though it's opinionated, I want those opinions to be of such that they have substance enough for people to go and check them out and try to find out whether they follow them or not, up on them and do something. Our people need to do something other than sit around and talk about stuff, and after it happens and wait a few days and then the conversation is gone. Because it's going to happen, and that's why it keeps happening. We got to find out why it's happening. The reason it's happening is there was a collusionary agreement between the FBI and J. Edgar Hoover and the mob.
Don't stop.
Back in the day,
to the show. That's
when it comes down to the deal with it, to try to put arms in the black community and dope in the black community so they could get rid of the Black Panthers. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when they blew the Black Panther office up and killed all of them and put them in the jails and made them look like they were doing something harmful, when all they were talking about was, if y'all gonna shoot us, we have a right to arm ourselves and shoot you. Exactly. That's all it was about. And it's still about the same thing right now. And they want to control the weapons. If they feel like the one with the biggest gun, they can shoot the most time, they're going to win the war. And they're going to feel like running everybody off. And some of them still stupid enough to figure we're going to stand up like a bunch of little punks and take it. And it ain't going to happen no more. Even the older ones of us know that we would rather die. We would rather die standing on our feet than keep living on our knees. And we're
no
not.
question.
It ain't happening. It's over with. Ain't no use to beating around the bush about who feeling gonna get hurt. The only people had their feeling hurt has been us, and we've been the ones supposed to be repentant because we're Christians and Jesus gonna help us. And you know, he gonna come and save us at the last minute. And okay, y'all keep on clipping us now, and in heaven, he gonna give us a white robe because we got beat. Well, we ain't getting no ass whooping down here. I don't want my robe like that. I can buy the robe, and so it ain't finna happen. And so, no, I mean, in all honesty. And so when it comes down to it, we don't need to be talking about what the kids did to make the folks would shoot them. Let's just assume they're gonna get shot. Because getting shot ain't right no way. It shouldn't be where if you're in a free country and everybody expect to come over here and want to be in America, land of the free, that you're supposed to be worried about getting shot anyway. That's not right. I don't agree with corporal punishment. I don't agree with the death penalty. I don't agree with any of the stuff they got on the book that's designed to make us accept being lynched. They got lynch laws in a lot of states and stuff that don't belong on the book because we were not deserving to be lynched in the first place. So,
All right.
So when it comes down to the nitty, why is it happening? Because you have that fiber, that belief in the minds of some segment of this population that we don't belong here unless they can use us for free. And when we want to get paid, they want to send us somewhere else. And so being having said that, then there is no reasonable explanation. There's no gun right law. There's no amendment in the Constitution that should give anybody the authority to take somebody else's life in this country, nowhere else. And then we go spend $16 trillion in the Ukraine to buy bullets and stuff over there to help them fight against Russia, when we need to be spending it over here in America to try to straighten up the water and get all these ruts out of the road so we won't tap our cars.
That's right, Pastor. That's right.
Okay.
Go ahead. Hey, get into it.
We'll bring an update on this topic next Monday. But right now,
I'm sorry.
Let me show the video. When I show the video, I'll come back and read a little bit, and then we're going to get into this discussion because we learned as little children, don't play on the railroad track.
That's right.
Don't stand on the railroad track.
Don't even walk on the railroad track.
Okay. So I'm going to play the video, and then we're going to do the discussion.
Go ahead.
Here we go.
Okay.
I got cuffs.
Go ahead.
Good? Keep your hands above your head.
Don't move.
What's going on? Why am I here? We'll explain everything in a second. Can I get my cell phone, please? No one else is in the truck, sir. Can I please get my cell phone? We'll get it for you.
Don't worry about your cell phone.
Please. Where are you taking me? We're taking you to the car. Come on. Why? What? Do you have anything on you that's going to poke me, stick me, hurt me? No, ma'am, but can I please get my cell phone? We'll get your cell phone in a second. Is there any weapons in the car?
Ready?
No, ma'am, there's nothing on. There's no weapons in the car? Okay.
Everybody out in the car, come on.
What's going on? Ma'am, what's going on? I'll tell you in a second. Take a seat. I'm so confused. Can I get my cell phone? I will get your cell phone for you. Take a seat.
I got your right shoulder. I see a car seat. Clear. Okay, let's get the bed. Yeah, you drop it. I'll hold it. I'll come across. Clear. Dispatch flipping 348. Vehicle's clear. You can raise the channel. That's good.
And this is a young lady, so this is like.
It took her a long time to pull over.
I got a holster right here in the passenger seat.
Okay. It took her a very long time to pull over. I'm going.
Did you see her toss anything?
I She could have, because it took her a long time to pull over.
I'm gonna put my rifle away and I'll come back in a minute.
All right.
Wow.
She could have, because when I was behind her, she was driving slow enough.
Yeah.
So she could have tossed something, but I lit
Tossed it out the window?
She could have out that window, but who is that? Hart?
No, that's time check. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Move your car! Stay back!
The 346 patrol car was just hit by a train. Dispatch up to 346. Did us medical emergent. The suspect was in the vehicle that was hit by the train.
I missed this part.
Watch the fence. There may still be a firearm in the vehicle. I don't know if you guys have been through it yet. You got it?
I got a holster here. No, we have not gone through.
We weren't sure if she threw it or if it's still hidden in the vehicle somewhere. It took her a long time to pull over, and Platteville said he did not see anything leave the vehicle.
Right now, I just need to find out who she is so we can deal with that aspect of it. I've got some IDs right here. Who's awake? Okay. You hear that?
No, I didn't hear that.
There's a round over there in the door.
Okay. That's her. You got a date of birth on there?
That's what I was looking for.
I know you know what you're doing. I was just thinking out
I'll
loud.
let you look at that. I'll keep
All right.
looking for the other stuff.
Check the center console.
You what?
Check the center console. You think it's in there?
Well, we need to find her ID, so her ID could be in the console. There's your gun.
And
Good.
this is the young lady who was in the
Is she
car.
white or Puerto Rican or Mexican? What is she?
She's Hispanic. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me go to the article. She's 20 years old, and she works for, what is it, the TSA? She works for the TSA, and she's 20 years old. Doesn't have a record. She's basically a nice young lady.
Okay.
Okay. But the thing about it, her name is, I guess, I hope I pronounce this right, Yarina Rios Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, you stop her, you put her in a police vehicle handcuffed, sitting on the railroad track.
Right. On the railroad track.
On the railroad track.
Wow.
How awful can you be?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the first thing that we have to think about when we talk about culpable negligence, these people already are trained about safety procedures and whatever. And if you're in a train track area, well, let me ask both of you. When we're going down the road and we get to a train track, when way before the train gets there, some things come down and start flashing lights, right?
Yep.
And letting you know that the train is coming.
Right.
So
Instead of horn blaring.
yeah, so something had to be there to indicate to them at some point before that train got there that it was on the way to hit where that car was parked at. But let's get deeper than that, Raymond.
Let's get there. Let's go there, Professor.
Because see, people have ways of covering up stuff they do by sacrificing whoever it is that's the most, that got the evidence on them.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not during the investigation by these families that need to investigate this. I wouldn't put it away that this girl didn't know something on somebody, and that person was probably there to see to it that she didn't make it.
Oh wow.
It could be.
That's
I don't
really
know. I'm just Professor.
No, but you see what happened with the weapon. They found the scabbard on the seat, they say. But then later on, after she got hit, they wind up finding the gun.
But the whole thing of at first they went in there, looked in it, and didn't see nothing.
Didn't see nothing.
Now mysteriously, they come up with ammunition and a pistol.
And the gun. So that's what I'm telling you now.
You know, all this taking place while this young lady is in the car, handcuffed on the damn railroad track.
And then, first of all, if you're going to take time to handcuff her, why didn't they find out what her identification was in the first place? That's the procedure.
But my thing is, who parks a car on the railroad track?
Probably the officers that she could incriminate, that she had some evidence on, and they wanted to get rid of her.
Well, they should be fired.
No, they should be fired. The department ought to be sued, and of course, this should be a good example to people in the future, so it won't happen to anybody else.
The lawsuit is all probably already being fired. But my thing is, these are professional police officers. They've been through training.
Well, see, the deeper question to you and Raymond, and I know you'll agree to this. The deeper question is, how many other officers and how deep does this go in the department they work in?
Okay, but wait a minute. Your theory, we don't know. That's a theory. That's an opinion. But we do know that the police stopped the police vehicle on the train track. I mean, you don't even have to be a police to know that you don't stop your vehicle on the train track.
No, but you ain't got.
And you know that if a vehicle becomes abandoned on the train track, what's the first thing you do? You get out of it.
Well, see, you ain't got it. You ain't, look. I told you about the warnings and things a few minutes ago. I thought that took care of that. But anyway, you ain't got to be Perry Mason to try to figure out that there was no procedural thing that was done there in terms of administration of Miranda warnings or nothing like that. She was never told. I never heard them tell her why they stopped her. And I never heard them say to her why they were handcuffing her or putting her in the car or she was being detained or whatever else. And so what I'm saying, the camera don't lie. It picked up everything that went on and what was said. But a lot of the things that may have been said that caused them to be doing this in the first place won't be on the camera. It was happening before she may have been targeted. I don't know.
But I'm saying, I'm not trying to. These are opinions, but the thing that I can't understand as a human being is that why would a police officer leave his vehicle on the railroad track? I mean, that's crazy. For you to get out of your vehicle and leave it on the railroad track. I mean,
all I'm doing.
She had a car in front of her.
Yes.
She had a police vehicle in front of her.
Yes.
And she couldn't go anywhere. So why would you, if you're behind her, why would you stop on the railroad track? Why wouldn't you pull up beside her?
Baby, I just gave you my reasonable and plausible explanation of what it could have been. And so it could have been a variety of, they could have run out of gas and had to push the car if you didn't want to talk about something comical.
Right.
But it happened in all of those. If it was just one officer, I could say what you're talking about. We know had some some grounds. But there were several officers in those pictures. And then there was another officer somewhere with the camera that was taking pictures of those officers that they were talking to each other.
So they had body cams and they had probably cameras on the vehicle.
Absolutely. So I'm just saying there were multiple officers at the scene, which means either all of them was crammed up into one vehicle or there was more than one vehicle.
Oh, there was definitely more than one vehicle on the scene.
Okay, so when you start talking about that, that means at some point somebody had called somebody else, and all of this thing ensuing chase or whatever it was, resulted in that. And so it's going to probably come out later on after they have confabulated some evidence to go to court with, because they the ones got all the report papers and stuff they're going to bring to the courtroom. But when it really boils down to it, there was some underlying reason that they were negligent in putting that car where it was when the train hit it.
Well, when it comes to black and brown people, they don't care anyway. So that's the whole thing. And I'm reading this here. And they say the footage showed that the train slammed into the Platteville police vehicle. Its front passenger side door still open, pushes it several yards. The officers immediately left for help, saying a patrol car had been struck by a train. By far the most disgusting, gut-wrenching part of the video is the officer standing guard over a bound woman with a rifle, who then runs for his own life due to officers' bad choices. See, this is the whole thing. When it comes to us, we shit out of luck. I'm just gonna say it like that. I'm gonna call it what it is.
Say it again.
We shit out of luck.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, first of all, the negligence was we didn't hear them say why they pulled over. They didn't have a proper cause to pull that young lady over. Then the second thing was they pulled her over and they parked their car on the railroad track, went over there to search her, subdued her, told her to get out the car. She got out the car. She was obedient and everything. Put her hands up, let them handcuff her, everything. She said, just get my phone. Okay, we're going to get your phone. She said several times, would you get my phone? Yeah, we'll get your phone. Just get in the car. She got in the car. The police, the woman officer, never went to get her phone. The other guys went over there searching for weapons, right? And somehow or another, the first time they went over there, they didn't see nothing. Second time they went over there, they found their ID. And like the third time, that's when they say they found a rifle or whatever and some ammunition, right?
They found a gun and an ammunition.
Okay.
Right. So
let me tell both of y'all what I'd like for us to do. Let's have a segment in all the shows from now on to let's get real. What we say to the folks, let's get real about this.
Oh, no question. So
yeah, white folks ride around all the time.
Let Raymond finish his.
After they did all this, right? Still, the most negligent part of the whole thing was no one took the initiative to remove the car from off the train track. That was the most disgusting thing I ever heard. They were so busy trying to find something to apprehend this young lady that they didn't care about the car or she was in the car, because if they had, they would have been paying attention. And this goes back to the training. See, this is the training we talk about when we talk about the police and all that. They proper training. It's not like they ain't properly taught. It's who they taught to act against, which is black and brown people. So long as you're not black or brown, you will get the utmost respect. But if you anything other than what we are, then it's going to be negligence. And it's a lot of negligence. Ain't nowhere in the world that young lady's supposed to have been in that damn truck or that car when that train first is barreling down with the horn blasting, which we all hit a horn. We can hit a horn here in Chicago. I can hit a horn here in Texas when it's blaring. So you heard that, and you seen the flashing lights. So it only took a couple of seconds for one officer to jump in there, bag up, and move that truck, or move the car, whatever it was.
But why come there wasn't an officer intelligent enough to say, Why is this cruiser parked on the railroad track?
Because they was
And
focused.
many of them that was out there.
They was focused on whatever they was focused on, which trying to find something to incriminate this young lady. That would seem to be the bottom line. She threw something out the car that would took her so long to pull over. It's got to be
They
something
don't
around
know.
here.
They
Look
don't
over
know
here.
that she
Go
threw
here. They
something.
went
They
all
can
down
see
the
it.
way, looking around and all this stuff. And we saying, hold it. Nobody, like you said, was intelligent enough to say, first of all, let's move the truck. That's the
Right.
first thing. Second thing, we didn't have no proper calls on stopping her. And in Colorado, I don't know if you can carry your guns or not. I don't know, but I know here in Texas you can. So that's another thing. So if what if she had proper calls to carry? She might have had a license to carry. You know, whatever the case may be, their negligence was so poor to the fact that they only want, we call them ticket trying. That's what we call them, cops in the joint. They're ticket masters. All they want to do is arrest somebody or fine you for something, and that's sad. Now this lady, now look at this. She has suffering brain injuries
Yeah.
and broken bones. She has retained a lawyer, and honestly, good for her. How are they still investigating the road rage incident, but no charges have been filed? As in, listen, now Katie Lowe, you and the devil advocate is all. Why is there no charges ever filed when it comes to the police?
Well, number one, let me say this. So we know this was a road rage incident. After after what has happened to this young lady, do you think that person who called the police and reported road rage is gonna come forward? Heck, you know.
No, because they're
That
gonna get
person,
sued. They're gonna be accessories to this woman's case when the lawyers get through with everybody involved.
Exactly.
Anybody that was near, whether in 100 yards of that happening, that saw it and don't come forward and offer evidence or whatever, if they have to subpoena them, they're going to be involved in the probability of them being even brought up, because that's how the case is going to be developed, to be honest. But now, here's the deal. Let's get real. One, it don't take no rocket scientist to figure out when a damn train coming down the track
No, it don't.
and to get off the track. Okay, we just talked about that in the beginning. We wasn't even allowed to walk on the train track when we were young growing up. So now you got somebody in a patrol car that pulls up on the track and leave it parked. That's irresponsible in the first place, no matter how many folks in front of you.
Exactly.
And so the next thing is, when it comes down to it, how many drivers does it take to even when you know something's getting ready to happen, does it take to rush over there and back the car off the track or move it and stuff to let the train come on through?
My
So
point is
at first, the train looked like they tried to run it out the way.
right, and so the whole
I hate to say that,
the
but
whole
that's
thing
what
about it is leaving me kind of baffled. But then, see, Raymond down to the net, he tell the truth, and that God knows it's the truth. But let's talk about this weapon thing, though. I'm going to get away from all the other things, the conjecture. Weapons are displayed by white folks in the back of their trucks in the window. Okay,
all the time.
in all these states we're talking about, in Colorado and Utah, Arizona, they ride around with these weapons, the AR-15 rifles and stuff, in the back of the windshield, hanging on a rack. Am I lying?
Yes, exactly.
And they ain't out. You ain't look. Let me tell y'all something, Katie. It don't take no damn AR-15 to kill no deer, a duck, a rabbit. You can't shoot. You ain't got to shoot at them no 65 times. But they hang these weapons. They hang them automatic rifles, military rifles in the back
That's
of their
what you
truck.
say, military. Exactly.
And they don't even get stopped like this woman. And they didn't see her with no gun, no one, no nothing. So that's the kind of thing.
let me put this out there. What if she had refused to get in the police cruiser.
What
After
if she
they
had?
wait, just let me finish now. Let me finish.
Okay.
When they got after they handcuffed her and told her
Mhm.
that they were going to put her in the police vehicle, what if she had to refuse and said, "I'm not getting in there because it's on the railroad track"? What would happen?
Who knows?
Who knows? They would have forced her in there anyway. And so what she should have done was when they told her to put her hands up and got ready to handcuff, would refuse to be handcuffed unless they told her she was being detained and properly arrested. That was her right.
I believe they did say she was under arrest.
For
And they
what?
handcuffed.
For what?
They told you they in the video they said about a road rage incident.
That ain't no
No,
enough reason to
that's
put you
not.
under arrest.
What is that? Is that a criminal offense or
Well,
misdemeanor?
when you're a person of color, anything that you do
Yeah.
can be made into an offense. They will find a law for you.
Yeah, they will.
Okay.
Okay.
And that is true.
What I'm thinking that we're doing right here, though, is we're letting them off the hook by
No,
making.
no, Professor.
No.
Not at all. We don't let them off the hook at all.
No, because
Negligence.
see,
This
ain't
young
no
lady.
look. First of all, ain't no hook, Raymond. Ain't no hook for them to be on in the first place. Really, they ain't
It
got
was
no.
the proper cause.
That's
And
right.
they just
There's no reasonability that can be assigned to this case right here that's going to give you a reasonable and plausible cause for it to have happened.
exactly. And they just showing another way how they abuse their power.
That's what I
Because
said
they
from
are
the
the
beginning.
police.
So you
And they
got to
do this
realize.
time and time again. And every time it's always a loophole, as they say with us, it's a loophole where they're found not guilty or not negligent unless it's overwhelming evidence, which it is there as well. This young lady has brain damage. And as Katie, don't put the picture up there, the young lady, 20 years old, she was beautiful, had a whole life ahead of her.
Absolutely.
Now we don't know how damaged she is, how traumatized she is. Will she ever be the same? Because there's no way anyone can tell me I'm handcuffed in a police car on the railroad track and a train is coming and I'm hearing this blaring and nobody come to help me. And these are the people who sworn to save and serve and protect us. The car get hit by the train and I'm in it. That's going to play over and over in my mind from the rest of my life. So I am deeply traumatized. Then she had brain damage, and she's suffering brain damage and broken bones.
Yeah, a lot of broken bones. Yes,
Right?
legs,
So
arms.
she may not ever recover from this. And with this, the lawsuit, she should own the state of Colorado.
Absolutely. But see, the problem with owning the state of Colorado is they ain't got enough their money to pay a person for something
Exactly.
like that. And so when it really boils down to the whole nut cutting part of it, it's got to be a whole lot deeper than that. Because are we afraid now to drive through Colorado as a person of color as to what
She
might
lived
happen to us?
there. She lived there.
No,
She
I'm
worked-
talking about us from we're from a different state. In Colorado, is it now something that we want to go to the Grand Canyon or somewhere and on tour and feel safe going over there? You know what I'm saying? That's what they try to do in Chicago. Now they're trying to say it's not dangerous. I mean, not safe to come to Chicago. You might get shot up there. Are we looking at Colorado the same way because something like that happened to her? That it could possibly happen to us if we're just going over there being a tourist. And those are the kind of questions that need to come up because our money fuels and takes care of the lifestyles of the people living in these states. And if they're going to have racist attitudes that are so bad that we're not safe to travel through those states because their law enforcement people have negative attitudes and are capable of culpable negligence on our part. And then they'll try to explain it. Why? Because, it's not why I mean, not how bad it hurt you when somebody walk up to you and shoot you. It's the fact that what made them do it in the first place, and then will they do it again after you get well? And so those are the kind of questions people need to be asking themselves about this thing. I know it's deep. I'm sorry.
No, you got anything to say, Katie?
No, go ahead.
No, what I was saying was what I'm saying simply is it goes back to the teachings, right?
Of course.
On how to public safety. Now I'm just an activist, and I was an activist and I was an outreach worker, and we went through training on how to diffuse situations, right? How to help the public and safety situations, right? We took a safety course and everything. Now these are the police, so I know they have taken this course as well as we did. So why it wasn't activated? Let me rephrase that. Why hasn't it been activated in these senseless cases time and time again, whereas the police is at the helm? This is a question we should be asking. So, and the second thing, Professor, is when these negligence happen with the police, I feel that pensions should be taken and given to the victims of the families for the police, for the negligence on their part, right? So stop suing the state, right? Stop suing the state, sue the people that's involved, and then they will stop doing what they have been doing to the people. Because if you don't do that, then they say, hey, well, Chicago got to pay for it, Colorado got to pay for it. Now, guess what? I might get fired or put behind the bench or desk, but I don't have to pay for it. If we make them stop paying for it,
great point.
They will stop doing what they're doing, and they'll pay more attention to detail. So you got to pay attention to the detail of what's going on, and then you can look at the outline, because they were saying they didn't give a shit. That young lady's in that car, and they weren't going with nobody. And he look, and I'm gonna go back, and it said he also yelled, "Hey, come back! Don't you go there! Don't go over there to that car." So if you sworn to serve and protect, and you mean to tell me that the young lady was in a crisis, and the officer was on his way to supposed to be trying to help her, and then his counterpart say, "Hey, you come on back! Forget that! Let that go!" It's crazy.
You're correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Again, our lives are in the hands of people who don't care about us.
I want to.
We have to be real careful with that.
I want to say
this. Pretty bad.
I want to say this. Anyone that has a CDL license, okay, they know that you don't stop on the railroad track.
Absolutely.
They know that. You don't even have to have a CDL license, but I'm just saying, they know you don't stop. You don't stop any vehicle on the railroad track. Now, what was on the police officer's mind to stop on that railroad track? He, she, or whoever it was, really, they need to be fired. That is unexcusable. And then to put her in there, handcuffed. I mean, they shouldn't even have to. They shouldn't even have to think about this. They should have automatically, whoever was driving that cruiser, they should have been fired that day. They should have let them go. The part where you said that the police need to be held accountable when they're in the wrong instead of making the city be held accountable, that's a good point.
Right.
That will cut down a lot of lawsuits.
Right. Look at it. The negligence. It's too much negligence when it comes to police. It is too much negligence and not enough reinforcement. They talking about reinforce the law. Okay, if you're gonna reinforce the law, then reinforce the law for what it really is. So if I can get 15 years for murder at 30, 50, 60 years, Why can't the police officer who pulled the same trigger, the same gun as I did, or bigger, get 30 to 60 years as well? And if I have to pay restitution, then why don't they have to pay restitution? See, these things we talking about reinforcing the law. This is how we reinforce the law. This is how we make them see, because that is straight negligence. Not even a child would have made that mistake.
Of course not. And
a child wouldn't even make that mistake to leave a car on the track.
Well, that's the reason I held my point in the beginning, and I just put it out there. And I know maybe I didn't stress it, seriously or sounding enough, but there is always an underlying reason that something's happened. Nothing happens for no reason at all. And what we got to do is delve as deep as possible. Raymond, you're absolutely right. Individuals need to be held responsible for the actions the officials do, it just as much as the people are penalized if they're criminals. There should be the same thing. But the same justice that's blind for some people is not. She got the blindfold taken off for others, and so when in this country, and so unfortunately, we have to try to get to the bottom of how they are hand selecting. Even the black officers in some of these police forces and stuff don't like black people or people of color. They don't. If you walk up to one of them, they have to stop you. It's almost like you are a worse criminal than the white folk. There are people down in my home state that the black officers won't even pull white people over. They're not allowed to pull a white person over. They have to call a white cop to pull them over. And so that's happening now. It's not something I'm dreaming up. Those are the kind of causes that cause this to happen. Cause somebody to get out and be negligent and leave a vehicle on the train track, put a handcuffed person in it, and don't have anybody in there to move it or move that person out of harm's way being train track in the first place. They didn't see no weapon all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden it appears out of nowhere. And all of that. We talked about that happening when you look at the video. So it's like, they cover up for each other constantly. The blue code, they call it, of secrecy, where one officer won't read on the other officer or whatever else. And so all of that's going on. It's so much criminal activity going on in the ranks of the officers that are supposed to protect and serve us that you wouldn't even believe it. And so when you want to answer to your question, there are multiple answers, but which one is an acceptable answer? And what are we going to do about trying to keep it from continually reoccurring? That is my question.
Okay, Raymond, get your last saying. It's time. I hate to cut it short, but
but okay. In a wrap up, right? Okay, we see how the police is being negligent, not just here, but all over the country, right?
Absolutely.
And they're not being held accountable for their actions. Yet and still, we will ask our young people to put the guns down, stop the violence, right? And be productive and try to work with the police, right? But how can we do that when we don't even trust the police? When they show you time and time again, there's no reason to trust them, and there's every reason to be afraid of them. And to Katie Lowe's point, when she was saying earlier, hell, I would run from them if I was stopped, if I think anything, because I would rather run and have a chance than to stand there and they blatantly kill me, as they did Bland, as they did Darius Pinex, as they did so many others who was maliciously killed by the Chicago police officers, period, around the world. So with that being said, Katie Lowe, and on the wrap up, it's hard to trust them. And the real reality of it is they would never regain the people's trust. And that's just my opinion.
Okay, well, you've been listening to Opinions right here on Meta, Facebook Live, YouTube, and Spreaker. We all thank you for tuning in. And my opinion is that we should learn to live in a world together that was created for us to live together. We have to learn. We were put here to live together, to cohabitate, to make this world a better place. And that's something that we, as a people, must try to do. We have to look beyond the skin color. We have to learn to, as Spike Lee say, we have to learn to do the right thing. Okay? This world was created for us all to live in and share the greatness that God created. And we as a people, we must learn to love each other and respect each other. Uh, Miss Gonzalez, we sent a prayer out to her and her family because this woman is a mother. She has a son, a child. So we sent a prayer out to her. And I don't know. There's a great thing that people, it's funny how people can listen to music, and music is a universal language, and they understand it. And there is so much humanity and love in music. We need to take that same humanity, that same love that we see in music as a universal language, and we need to instill that love within ourselves. You've been listening to Opinion right here on Meta Facebook Live.
Before we go, can we give a
I
prayer
am
for
now. I'm
the
going to
young
give a
man,
shout out.
the
Oh, go
Baldwin
ahead.
family on the loss of their son Antonio? We're praying for them in their time of bereavement. We're praying for the Gonzalez family and their time of bereavement. And we just ask that you guys, let's go to the polls and let's change some things. That's how we change things.
All
Vote.
right. Okay. And I wanna thank our sponsor. I wanna give a shout out to my girl Nicole Turner at Martha's Helping Hands. I thank you for all you do. And of course, I have to give that shout out to Brothers Standing Together. I have to give that shout out because they have made an impact on the community by giving, and they are giving. And I want to thank them so much. And I also want to thank my friend Mike at Oval Cleaning. Oval Cleaning for all your cleaning needs. Give Mike a call at 708-528-6825. And don't forget, you can always make a donation. Make a kindness donation. You can make a donation to Martha's Helping Hand at Turner's. It's TURNERS 412 at Martha's Helping Hand.org. And you can also make a donation to my friends at Brothers Standing Together. If you don't know how to make it, you can always contact me and I can show you how it can be done. And I thank you for tuning in. And my name is Katie Lowe, and I want to tell everybody, to have a good evening and be careful out there in whatever you do.
Thank you, Professor. Look to
Yeah,
have
you
you on the
too.
show.
Yeah,
So we
I'll be
will see
looking
you
forward
next
to it.
Monday, everybody. Y'all have a good night. And keep the faith. Good night.